And interestingly, despite what Elon said when he woke up the other morning, that I was no good or whatever. I mean, I'm sure he's
not the man to lead the party.
He's not alone with that opinion, clearly. But
what would Donald Trump say?
Oh, I've been a friend of Donald Trump's for a decade. I've been very supportive of him. He's been very supportive of me. I can't see that changing for a moment.
For years, you've heard Nigel Farage and Reform UK dismiss Tommy Robinson as not what we need. But what if everything you thought you knew about this political divide was about to change? What if the very foundations of British politics were about to be shaken? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. Today, we challenge you to set aside your preconceptions.
And then yesterday, he retweeted me twice with positive messages, so I don't know.
You catching up with him later this month?
Yes.
How long are you going over for the inauguration?
I'll be over for a good sort of 4 or 5 days.
We're going to present you with new information that could change how you view Reform UK, Tommy Robinson, and the future of British politics. Are you ready to have your assumptions challenged? Nigel Farage finds himself caught in a political storm of his own making. For years, he's been quick to dismiss Tommy Robinson, branding him as not what we need for Reform UK. But now, an unexpected player has entered the game, forcing Farage to reassess his stance. Enter Elon Musk, the tech billionaire turned political influencer who's thrown his weight behind Robinson in a series of provocative tweets. Musk's endorsement of Robinson has sent shockwaves through the British political landscape. The Tesla CEO didn't just stop at a casual mention. He went full throttle, tweeting, "Free Tommy Robinson," and recommending Robinson's documentary on grooming gangs. It's a move that's left Farage in a precarious position. How can he maintain his rejection of Robinson while simultaneously courting the support of Musk, whom he's praised as a hero figure, especially for the youth? The consequences for Reform UK could be seismic if they maintain their hardline stance against Robinson. On one hand, aligning with Robinson risks alienating moderate voters and tarnishing the party's image. On the other, rejecting him outright could mean missing out on a surge of support from those disillusioned with mainstream politics. It's a classic case of damned if you do, damned if you don't. But here's where it gets interesting. Recent revelations about grooming gangs have vindicated some of Robinson's long-standing claims. The public perception of Robinson is shifting, and with it, the political calculus. What was once seen as inflammatory rhetoric is now being reframed as uncomfortable truths that the establishment tried to suppress. This changing narrative poses a serious dilemma for Reform UK. Can they afford to ignore this shift in public opinion? The million-dollar question is, could Musk's influence force a reconsideration of Reform UK's position? Farage's praise for Musk as a hero figure suggests he's well aware of the tech mogul's sway, particularly among younger voters. But how does he balance this with his party's stated principles? For now, Farage is trying to have his cake and eat it too. He's still rejecting Robinson, but he's also heaping praise on Musk. It's a delicate balancing act, one that's becoming increasingly difficult to maintain. Farage acknowledges the growing discontent with mainstream parties, hinting that Robinson's supporters might find common ground with Reform UK's goals of justice reform and government accountability, yet he remains adamant about keeping Robinson at arm's length. But is this position sustainable in the long run? As the political landscape continues to shift, Reform UK may find itself forced to choose between principles and pragmatism. The coming months will reveal whether Farage's political acrobatics can keep both Musk and the moderates on side, or if the pressure to pick a lane will finally force his hand. Reform UK finds itself at a critical juncture, caught between the allure of potential political gain and the risk of alienating its core supporters. The party's current position in the polls is precarious, hovering just above the threshold needed to make a significant impact in Parliament. Their target voter base, traditionally comprised of disillusioned conservatives and working-class voters frustrated with mainstream politics, is expanding. But here's the rub. Could embracing Tommy Robinson be the key to unlocking a new wave of support? Or would it be political suicide? The potential boost Robinson's supporters could provide is undeniable. His passionate followers, many of whom feel betrayed by the political establishment, could inject much-needed energy into Reform UK's campaign. But at what cost? The risk of alienating moderate voters, those crucial swing votes that could make or break the party's electoral chances, looms large. It's a political tightrope that even the most skilled acrobat would struggle to navigate. Recent revelations about institutional cover-ups related to grooming gangs have vindicated some of Robinson's long-standing claims. This uncomfortable truth has forced many to reassess their perception of the controversial figure. What was once dismissed as inflammatory rhetoric is now being viewed through a different lens. The establishment's apparent failure to address these issues has only fueled the growing disillusionment with mainstream parties. This shifting political landscape has created a fertile ground for outsider figures like Robinson. His uncompromising stance and willingness to tackle taboo subjects resonate with voters who feel ignored by traditional politicians. Reform UK must now grapple with a difficult question. Can they afford to ignore this groundswell of support, or will principles trump pragmatism? The potential gains for Reform UK in aligning with Robinson are significant. His passionate base could provide the momentum needed to break through the political noise and establish the party as a serious contender. But the losses could be equally dramatic. Embracing such a divisive figure risks alienating moderate supporters and painting the party with the same controversial brush that has dogged Robinson for years. For now, Reform UK is attempting a delicate balancing act. They're distancing themselves from Robinson while simultaneously courting the support of influential figures like Elon Musk. It's a strategy that seeks to have its cake and eat it too, appealing to both the anti-establishment sentiment and the desire for respectability. But as pressure mounts and the political stakes rise, how long can this precarious equilibrium be maintained? The coming months will be crucial for Reform UK. Will they stick to their principles and risk political irrelevance, or will they embrace controversy in the pursuit of power? As the pressure cooker of British politics continues to heat up, one thing is certain: the decision Reform UK makes could reshape the political landscape for years to come. As the dust settles on this political whirlwind, Reform UK finds itself at a crossroads that could redefine British politics. The party's dilemma isn't just about Tommy Robinson or Elon Musk. It's about the very nature of political redemption and the price of purity in an increasingly polarized world. Voters are being forced to confront uncomfortable truths. Can a man, once branded as beyond the pale, be welcomed back into the fold? Is there room for nuance in a political landscape that often demands absolute certainty? The answers to these questions could reshape not just Reform UK, but the entire British political spectrum. As events unfold, we're all being challenged to examine our own beliefs about justice and forgiveness. The coming months will reveal whether Reform UK can navigate these treacherous waters without losing its soul or its supporters. One thing's for certain: British politics will never be the same again.